seen the hundreds of thousands of dollars each that go out for the grants to study the most ridiculous shit you could imagine.
And it's not that bad. It's not that bad on the state level, but it's still, there's fat that can be trimmed in a lot of places.
Yeah. You know what? Look at how, and I'm going to get shit for this, but I do not give a fuck. How much does the Razorback head coach make?
Oh, I hate
what
that.
Is it? $500,000-$600,000 a year?
Sickening amount.
He's the most.
No.
What?
The Razorback football coach?
Yeah.
$3 million.
Okay.
Over $3 million.
He is the highest.
Now, to be fair,
he is the highest paid state employee because he is a state employee.
But to be fair, there's a percentage of that's paid by the state.
Yeah, and part of
it's capped. And then the rest of it is paid by the Razorback Foundation, which is boosters and donors and that kind of thing. So
wow, it's too bad that they couldn't take some of that money and put it for something.
Well, I know, but I mean, I'm just saying it's not
useful.
All paid by taxpayer money.
But I mean, that's just.
But I have a problem with how much he makes. I have a problem with how much the doctors at UAMS make, and I know they're doctors, but fucking $2 million a year for a doctor, one doctor, that seems expensive, and they're state employees, even though they don't think so. It's shit like that. That's what kind of burns my ass a little bit.
Well, you know what else that I find interesting? The doctors at UAMS, like, let's say. Look, and can't use names because I don't remember them anyway. So, but this happened more than once. But this one sticks out of my mind. The details of what happened. A lady was in labor, and they were trying to reconfigure the bed because now it was time to push, and she needed, and something happened as she's pushing. I think when they reconfigured the bed, they didn't do it right. Right as the baby crowns and comes out, basically the bed collapses. The baby falls to the ground. The woman falls. Her back is hurt real, real bad. The baby died.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you talk about a shit show. The doctor, who is the one that did the bed, he can't be sued in the state courts.
Why?
Because I think he's a contractor or something. They have some weird, stupid.
When was this?
Oh, well, I mean, it was within the last 20 years because
I don't remember any reconfiguring of the bed.
I do from when Mason was born. Like, there was like a thing that popped off, and so that she could come to the edge.
Oh, the thing popped off, and then the stirrups
that come out, and
yeah, I remember that.
You were high on drugs. No, you don't remember that.
The reason you don't remember it is because we were in a different room until it was kind of time to push, and then we went into that other room where the table was already configured. Yeah, that's what it was. Because when she went into labor at like fucking 11 o'clock the night of the 5th, and didn't get her epidural till that following morning.
Yeah, because Alexis was born the 6th, right?
Right. So by the time it was time to push, like the final time, they actually took us into a birthing room, and we weren't in one until that time. Yeah. Well, so that's what that was.
I mean,
and she's too tired to argue with me, which is awesome.
And there was because there were charts on this table and how the manufacturer and all this bullshit.
Well, and the doctor shouldn't have been the one doing that anyway.
Yeah, and I don't know why.
Because I bet they don't get trained on that.
Yeah, I don't imagine anybody gets trained on that, if you want to be real honest. But
no, I'm sure that when the medical salespeople come in, they train somebody. Well, if I had to guess, I would expect it would be someone in the nurse line or
like the head nurse or whatever,
or a ward clerk or something like that. But it wouldn't be the fucking MD.
Well, no. But anyway,
they can barely. Most of them are fucking idiots.
But
useful idiots.
But specially trained, highly, for that one thing.
Yeah, and if it's not that one thing, don't fucking touch it.
But yeah, so they couldn't sue the doctor because I think it was like a thing saying
because how they were designated.
Yeah. Like, I think it was kind of like the coach, where part of the salary is paid and then part's paid by the foundation, so it makes them a contractor, independent. Anyway, so it was a legal thing. And then, so they were like, okay, I guess we'll have to sue the nurses. Nurses are state employees. That brings it to the claims commission. So that caps it, and their baby's dead, and her back's fucked up for the rest of their life, and just...
Well, and what I have and I fucking hate UAMS anyway.
Yeah.
And if anybody asks me, I'll be more than happy to tell them why. It's because they treat their doctors like gods, and I used to love it. I'm in IT. I work for the VA. A whole lot of the fucking UAMS doctors also work for the VA.
Yeah, they're all shared, because they shared with children's, too.
And it makes me... It made me so happy to remind them, and I did it every chance I got, that, oh, motherfucker, you ain't at UAMS. You're not a god over here. You're just a user. I loved it. Oh my God. That was like the highlight of my fucking day, every day. Because they would come over there with their fucking noses up in the air, and I'd just like to take them down a couple of pegs. It's like, you may think you're smart, but that doesn't change anything.
Yeah.
But what bothers me is they make, like, and I can't believe this guy actually told me this. He told me, and this was an older doctor, he told me that research doc is what it was. The VA paid him over $100 an hour, and UAMS paid him $100 an hour. And I don't know, I think he was actually salary on both of them. So that's $400,000 a year, because every one of those cocksuckers double dips. You don't have a part-time doctor. When you're at the VA, you're full-time, even if you also are full-time at UAMS.
Yeah. And like I said, a lot of them are at children's, too.
Mm-hmm. So they're making, I mean, they're just, and a lot of them have private practices, too. And it just makes me hate them all. Not because they're doctors, but because of the way that they're treated. Like, they're so much fucking better than everybody else. Yeah. And this redonkulous salary. You know,
I was talking about the foster care system. Mm-hmm. The two cases that were the hardest for me to sit on were the little boy with the mower. That was awful. Yeah, that was just... I mean, seeing the parents break down, I mean, it was just pitiful. That one, and then there was this one case where this grown daughter, mm-hmm. she was a drug user. I mean, bad. She just could not get her shit straight. And she had 2 little kids. The grandparents were doing everything they could to get custody.
Right.
Constantly trying to, everything they could. And they keep trying to, leave them with the mother as long as possible. And there was a hearing, I think it was supposed to be on the Monday, and where it looked like the grandparents were finally going to get them. And that Friday, she went out to her friend's house in the country where there was a pond. And they proceeded to do shrooms and pop pills and do all this stuff. And the 2 little girls went out to the pond, and one drowned. Like, literally a weekend from being safe. But nothing can bring her back. If they'd have, all the millions in the world wouldn't save that little girl.
No.
And it was just so, sickening to see. I understand, we've all seen these cases where people get their kids taken for stupid reasons. Mm-hmm. And then I just don't understand the logic. Like a thing where it's shown like they were in trouble time and time and time again. You can't tell me that that danger. I mean, maybe she didn't beat her kids, but if you're so high on shrooms, you think there's a dragon in the kitchen, you can't parent. Mm-hmm.
Not usually, no.
You can't keep them safe. I mean, and it just makes me wonder, like that case that, I don't know when it happened, but, it hit the news real bad this week where the lady had killed all 3 of her kids while she sang them lullabies. Now, I don't know if you read all that.
I did not.
Well, I did. And she had a known drug problem, and she'd already lost them twice, I think. And there were 3 children. There was a 3.5-year-old boy, a 1.5 to 2-year-old girl, and a infant.
Okay.
And the other people were at the home, but they were, working and doing stuff. I think she had lost him, so she'd been forced to live with, parents and stuff.
Yeah, that's what I understand. There were people in the house when she did this.
And so she takes them in the bedroom, and she proceeds to start, laying on her arm on the neck of the little toddler, the little middle girl. The boy sees what she's doing, and even though he's not even 4 years old, he understands that mommy's hurting her. He tries to fight her, tried so hard to protect his little sister. That broke my heart.
Yeah.
So she puts the pressure on the little girl and suffocates her. And then she did the same thing to the little boy, choked him to death. And then she leaves the room.
The people that are in the house, they're in the living area.
Yeah, and she's back in the bedroom.
They're not asleep in their rooms.
No. She goes and makes a bottle, feeds the infant a bottle, and sings lullabies to her. Then she smothers her.
Jesus Christ.
This is the worst part.
Yeah, here comes the worst part. Then she carries the babies to the couch, tucks them in like they're sleeping, and just lets the other people in the house discover their corpses.
God almighty.
So you go in, you're like, oh, look at them little angels, and you go, what the fuck? That just made me sick thinking about, you'd be like, because I don't know about you, especially, nothing sweeter than a sleeping baby, especially one you love. You want to look at them, and you think, oh my God. I just can't imagine how the horror would dawn. Wait a minute, they're not breathing. And then you look to the sibling, then there's 3 dead children on the couch cuddled up like they're napping. That is the most nightmare scenario I can imagine.
Yeah.
And that bitch needs to be torn limb from limb. If you're that crazy, I don't care if it's the drugs or not.
Yeah, there's no rehabbing
you can't fix that.
No, absolutely not. And I appreciate that we've got to have due process and all that kind of stuff. But
yeah,
with a case like that, there's no appeal that needs to be made. They're not going to come up with new evidence. She killed those kids after having contemplated it, and then
one after the other.
Yeah, and she needs to be taken out back and have a bullet put in her head.
And I just
a couple if needed.
I just can't even Can you imagine being the rest of the family that you find it and you think, oh my God, what if that bump I heard was a little boy fighting for his life? You would second guess everything. Yeah. And I just, oh my God. And I just, you say you love your children, and we talked about this, I guess, last week with the family I used to have. What could you support your kid through? You
Not
think,
that.
Yeah, I don't think I could. I think my love for the grandchildren would trump. I just,
because it's
an
something.
accident, even neglect. I would think, okay, it was a mistake. But to make that choice,
But loving your kid is different than making sure they're held responsible for their actions.
Yeah, but I don't even know if I could go visit her.
I don't think I could.
I don't think I could look in her face. I think I would just be consumed by hate. I just think about the horror of finding those babies like that and thinking, these little humans trusted you with their whole little life. And I think about that little boy and how, he was so brave, and so, he tried. And if you can be that cold-blooded, I don't think I could look at you.
Yeah.
It just made me sick. And there's just been a lot of really gross neglect and abuse and death cases. Did you hear the one about, and I don't think we're getting all the information here. There was one that they broke this week that talked about a 16-year-old boy. He weighed 27 pounds.
What the
I
fuck?
briefly saw
there had to be something else wrong with him.
I would think so.
You know what I mean? His frame at 16 would have been more
your
than...
bones weigh more than 27 pounds.
Right. He had to be Like I don't know. It didn't say he was a dwarf or something. There had to be something more wrong.
Yeah, I mean, if she was starving him for so long, he's not going to be full size.
No,
Right.
but I mean,
He's going to be
I can't. But there were
so stunted.
there were other kids in that home too, and they were all okay.
I've heard stories of